Hey all, so full disclosure, this is actually the second iteration of this video that I essentially restarted from scratch. Why is that? Well, it is simple. The topic of today's video aims to create theories in response to two questions, or more like respond to those theories. Who is the Harbinger? What is the Harbinger to begin with? In the last video, well, not last video, last iteration of this video, I did not make this clear. As of writing, recording, and editing this video, we know next to nothing about the Harbinger. As such, every theory presented in this video is purely speculative and can be easily invalidated mere hours after the premiere of this video. With that said, I thought it would be super fun to partake in some little theorizing, maybe provide my own opinions here and there. Opinions. Sheesh, I am on a roll tonight. One more thing to note, a lot of Halo Infinite story was leaked, so if you read the leaks, please keep the information to yourself, even if one of these theories lines up with the canon. Don't spoil it for everyone else, that's a dick move. And before I get into it, the YouTube algorithm is an unforgiving god who knows less mercy than an angry sister of battle in a field full of Eldar, so if you enjoy this video and want to see more of me, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. I also have a Discord if you want to hang out. That said, enough chatter. Let's get into it. So to start us off, I will reiterate the above questions. Who is the Harbinger? What is the Harbinger? Initially, a lot of people, myself included actually, suggested that they might be a Sunshine prelate upon watching the Halo Infinite overview trailer for the first time, but this is certainly not the case. Most obviously, the anatomy just doesn't add up. The Harbinger has 4 fingers in comparison to the Sunshine's 3. The other factor is the Banished. The Banished despise the Prophets and everything associated with them, and I just don't see them ever allowing a prelate into their ranks. We also got confirmation from 343 that the Harbinger is in fact not a prelate, so there goes that theory. So what could the Harbinger be then? The following are some theories I've seen floating around, and I will also comment my own opinions on them here and there. I also have my own personal theories, but I'd rather save that for my Discord, wink wink. So the first theory, with arguably the most backing lore-wise, is that the Harbinger belongs to a completely new species or faction never encountered by anyone before. The galaxy is a huge place, and even the Covenant never truly left the Orion arm of the Milky Way, meaning we still have the entire rest of the Milky Way galaxy to explore. Furthermore, this is somewhat supported by the Skimmers, who are aesthetically similar to the Harbinger. Where things start to spiral, though, is just a matter of what the nature of this mystery species or faction could be. Some have suggested that the Harbinger is some sort of biomechanical entity that acts as somewhat of a decentralized hive mind to the Skimmers and presumably whatever enemies arrive alongside them. In this case, Skimmers would almost be dumb drones meant to harass and pester foes, which would explain why they're rather clumsy in nature. The question then is, if this is the case, who made them? Is the Harbinger the only one? They seem to have an advanced knowledge of the Forerunners, or at the very least, they know enough to have formed a resentment towards the lost race.
The Forerunners' lies are at an end. I am the Harbinger of the truth. You are not the future.
The second theory is also fairly reasonable on the surface, and that is that the Harbinger and Skimmers are members of a fringe species of the Covenant. Now, on the surface this makes sense. The Covenant may not have gotten out of the Orion arm, but it was still huge and had a massive influence over its territories. Many species fell under the Covenant beyond the standard ones we see in the games. This is the Covenant Fringe, which is a large collection of species that fell under the Covenant's influence, but they were either not deemed economically viable, were overlooked when selecting species for combat, or they just simply weren't integrated fully because they weren't a priority for the Prophets in comparison to others. Here is where I will inject a bit of my own opinion. I do not believe that the Harbinger and Skimmers belong to a fringe species. Firstly, the aesthetic just doesn't match. Sure, the colors are red and yellow, not unlike the Banished, but the armor just doesn't match the overall look of the average Covenant species, let alone the Banished. That and the Harbinger seems a step above the Covenant technologically. They seem to be capable of weaponizing slipspace to a degree that the Covenant just simply couldn't. As when they struck the Chief, he was teleported to the surface of the ring. This is something we have never seen the Covenant use, and it is likely not the result of Banished technology, because they are ironically similar to the Covenant in how they approach tech. They iterate on, modify, and take advantage of pre-existing designs. That is not to say they are not innovative, they clearly are, but they don't really make new technology. It is always through a pre-existing design, and again, aesthetically speaking, the Harbinger's armor just does not match that of the Banished. Furthermore, the Harbinger species, or at least the Harbinger themselves, are quite clearly capable in battle. It was a very brief moment of footage, but we saw the Harbinger teleport behind Chief, who reacted in time to avoid the attack, and then the Harbinger teleported away before the Chief could retaliate. Shortly after, the Harbinger appeared again, and not only struck the Chief before he could react, but sent him flying for a good distance at a very good speed since he crashed through a tree trunk and caused that idle boulder to crumble. All things considered, that is very impressive, and I do not see the Covenant just ignoring someone with that capability. Even if the Harbinger is a rare case in their species, or whatever faction they come from, there's no reason as to why the Skimmers wouldn't be seen at any point during the 30 years of conflict with the Covenant and their succeeding factions. The third theory is also a possibility, albeit a bit outlandish and unlikely. I have seen some suggesting that the Harbinger is a precursor that has come to essentially undo the Forerunners' work, the reasoning being that the Harbinger considers the Forerunners to be liars, and that humanity is in fact not the future. However, once again, I will inject my own opinion into this. I do not think this is the case. Firstly, the Precursors were an extraordinarily powerful and ancient race that were beyond that of even the Forerunners, and if the Chief was practically helpless against the Didact, what would he do against the Precursor? Furthermore, there is a bit of conflicting lore as to why the Forerunners attacked and, miraculously, almost eradicated the Precursors. The Forerunners would say it was in self-preservation. The Gravemind would have us believe that it was out of jealousy that humanity was supposed to inherit the mantle originally. Really, we can either believe a Lovecraftian horror that twists and turns everything, no matter how true, in a manner that fits its own agenda, or a self-entitled impulsive imperialist society. Both are extremely unreliable sources. However, one consistent factor between them is that humanity was specifically chosen by the Precursors over the Forerunners to inherit the mantle. Why would this change? Why would the Harbinger claim humanity is not the future? Furthermore, why act now? Why not in the early centuries after the Forerunner Flood War, when the galaxy's modern civilizations were young and naive? It just doesn't add up. So really, in conclusion, this video was less presenting theories and more squashing theories, I guess, and also it was pretty short. What about you? What are your theories and opinions? Let me know in the comments down below or in my Discord. With all that said and done, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the cosmos, friends.